Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020, the final 2020 presidential debate breakdown with Joleen and Nana. I'm Joleen, here with my mom, Nana. We've been covering all the political, presidential, I should say, and vice presidential debates this year. Nana, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm sorry I didn't get dressed like nice or anything for this. I been painting today. I went over to the kids' house and was painting. So I came home, wanted to see this presidential debate, which I did, but I was kind of multitasking because I had the TV on loud, like I always do. And then I had my iPad on because I had a Zoom meeting for our West Lakeland Township. So I was trying to listen to both.
Okay, so you were multitasking. So we just got done watching the final 2020 presidential debate before the actual election. So we're going to be breaking that down. If this is your first time on my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe. Also smash the like. It helps us in the algorithm. And just so you know, me and Nana, we're just regular American gals. This is just our opinions. Doesn't mean it's fact. It doesn't mean you have to think the same way. Let's encourage open kind of, dialogue without calling each other dumb idiots. How about that?
Well, that's it, isn't it? And I thought this was a good debate. They went a lot longer than we thought. We thought we were going to be on at 9:15. We're sorry about that. They were a little long-winded, but I thought it was good. I really did. I mean, I love the moderator. She kept him on task. They had those mics shutting off if you were going to go over. I enjoyed that. In all, who do you think did better? Are you even going to surmise?
Well, you know what? It was a much better debate than we saw the first debate because the first debate was just a travesty. It was disgusting. They were talking over each other, yelling. There was no decorum. You couldn't understand what they were saying. I thought this moderator, Kristen, did a really great job. Even when they did try to talk over, and both candidates did, I think I timed it, and it was like into about 15 minutes is when we had our first kind of interruption talking over, and I think Trump was the first one to do that. But overall, even when they would do that, she'd say, I'm giving you 10 seconds. And here we go. And you can reply. And, you know, they did push it. Both candidates did push it. But this was far better than the last one. It was substantial this time. There was like substance, right?
Yes. And much more respectful of one another for the most part. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Can I just cut to the end and then we'll start in the beginning? I love doing that. I love when Trump's wife, how do you say her name? Melania?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love how you're still wondering how to say her name 4 years later. Melania. That's how you say her name.
She came up on the stage with a mask on. Oh, yeah. There you go.
And then Biden put his mask on, but Trump did not have a mask because he's immune. Now, you guys will get to that. It might not be forever. It might be 4 months. But as of today, this second, he's immune. And we are going to be having some fun and making some jokes, guys. So, because it's 2020, we got to make some jokes here. Jamie B, thank you so much for the first super chat of the night. Jamie B says, even a 5-year-old can behave for 90 minutes every once in a while, but they will praise him on phone news. They will. They will praise him. This is what we see. I mean, that's what's going to happen. But yeah, super chat is a great way to support the channel. You guys, if you want to, there's also links to Patreon, Venmo, PayPal, all that in the description of me and Nana's video. So yes, I'm assuming, Nana, I'm just going to go, well, actually, I'm not going to assume. Who do you think? Well, I kind of want to hit on all the things they talked about. And I got my little fact checker list here as well.
Oh, okay.
We'll do our best. We're not pundits. You know, I'm not Wolf Blitzer over here. It's just Joleen Lunzer coming at you. I mean, I'm aging like Wolf Blitzer, but I'm not Wolf Blitzer.
You are not. You look just fine.
I'm just kidding.
Beautiful.
Partially. But who did you think came out on top and why?
Well, I'm for Biden. You know,
I couldn't tell from your sign.
Oh, sorry. And certainly I got my vote in already. I already voted. I checked to make sure. You can go online. Linda told me about that and check to see that you were counted. Beautiful. Yep. It's a new day. And I do think Biden did better. But I think Trump kind of held his own this time. Yeah, and it's hard because when you're talking not facts, that he was able to hold his own, and he kind of would make it up as he went along. So don't be worried. We're going to get the vaccine real soon.
Well, and he was kind of held to task, taken to task about that, where I think last time he wasn't so much as, well, is it going to be a couple of weeks? Is it the end of the year? When is it? The people, scientists, the medical professionals, even in your cabinet, are saying it'll be much into next year, because there's a lot that goes along with this vaccine.
Yes.
I have friends that are working, and people I know that are working for the companies like Johnson & Johnson and things.
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
So you have to go to certain areas and test things, and then
Sure.
you need a certain amount of people before you know it's safe. I mean, there's just so many things. So for him to just throw out, but this is what we know of Trump, despite him very much going along with the "I'm not your normal politician," which basically won him, was a big reason he won in 2016. But he can't use that same thing now because you are a politician. You've had 4 years in office. So despite him saying that, I'm not your average politician and things like that, you are, and you're spewing that average politician type things, where it's very disingenuous, because we are in fact not going to be. No one else is saying that we are going to be having vaccines in the next couple of weeks, or even by the end of the year. People are talking all the way to Q3, so like next fall, 2021.
Absolutely. And they were saying that, when he mentioned that about the vaccines, and Biden jumped on him and said, yeah, well, we were supposed to have this over by Christmas. And then you said summer, when it gets nice. So what is it? What are we going to have? Yeah, I really think that, he says what people want to hear, Trump, for the most part. Some of us want to hear that there's going to be a vaccine, sure. But we want it to be truthful. I hated the idea that he was talking down Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, he actually called Dr. Fauci, the moderator, asked him the question, said, you called him a disaster. I believe that was the exact thing. And then he called some other scientists idiots.
Idiots. Yes, that's right. And now he says, but I mean, I'm not saying he's not a nice man, about Fauci. In fact, I think he's a Democrat. Oh, it doesn't always have to be. And I've been like that for a good part of my life, Republican, Democrat. There was a time in my life, only once, that I voted Republican because the Democrat wasn't of my liking. Not a presidential race, though.
Okay. I was like, I didn't know that about you.
No, not a presidential race. It was a senator in Washington.
Oh, it was a local. I'm trying to guess who it would be.
Quite a few years ago, and then I got my senses. But no.
It wasn't Michelle Bachmann when she was a representative? No. I can't remember.
She was a state senator, and then she became,
Representative Bachmann, right? Representative.
Or was she a senator?
I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
No, Congress. Didn't she run for Congress? I don't know. She's gone. That's a good thing. She's gone. I really liked listening to, some of the things. They had good questions. Kristen, she had wonderful questions to ask them. They're pushing, Biden's pushing for the masks. Said Trump has no plan in sight for this virus. So they asked, Biden what he would do. I mean, people don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear this. But it has to be said that there's not enough of us. And I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal. I'm putting myself up on the old pedestal because it's going to affect my generation more. So they say. As far as being distant from people, don't go out if you don't have to. I mean, we got people and we got relatives and we got friends. All of us do, that they're just living their life, and the rest of us are sitting on our hands, and we're getting tired of it.
Well, and I think that was a point that was brought up tonight, is that what we found with this pandemic situation is that it can't go by a state-by-state basis, because clearly if we're not united as the United States, which is something that Joe Biden made sure to talk to the camera and do that thing he does where he's talking directly to the people, and then Trump called him out on that as that being like a political ploy, which it is, to say, you're all we're all sitting around the table. A lot of politicians have used that. But I do think that when it comes to this situation in this pandemic, we do need to be united. So it can't be state by state. We have to have, I think, even conservatives out there, like conservative pundits, people, I don't know if you watch The Rising or The Hill with Crystal Ball and Sager, but even Sager, who's on the conservative side, they talk about the polls and saying that, I think there's like 67 to 70% of people are for masks. So for Trump to err so much and go and not be strong in advocating for masks to kind of get us out of this, and resources and things that are going to protect us as best we can during this pandemic is just stupid, because most people are like, fine, we'll wear a damn mask. But for some reason, he wants to go, with this basically unpopular opinion that some people have, but less people have, where they think it'll infringe on their constitutional rights by just wearing a mask. But if you compare it to things like speed limits and things like that, you didn't always have things like that, but speed limits and seatbelt, and that did save a lot of lives. And soon that just became something people started doing. And I don't think a speed limit really infringes on my constitutional rights in the long run. What I value as important, I think, I am more progressive person. So as far as my politics go, so I would like to do things for the betterment of society as a whole. And a lot of these, people for Trump would say, oh, you're one of those, Bernie socialists. And the funniest thing, I think, Nana, about this whole election and what Trump comparing Biden to Bernie and him saying Kamala Harris is more progressive that's just untrue. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to scare
absolutely
the Republicans or the moderates, which Joe Biden will pick up and has picked up a lot of moderate votes, and maybe people who normally voted Democrat who went with Trump in 2016. So their only plan of action now is to disparage him by putting him in the Bernie Sanders Democratic socialism category. Here's the deal. Joe Biden is so far from progressive. I wish Joe Biden was progressive. I wish Joe Biden wanted Medicare for all. I wish Joe Biden wanted these things. I wish he was for the new Green Deal. I wish he was against fracking, but he's not. He's not against any of that. If anything, Joe Biden is actually one thing that Trump said that was true, this debate about Joe Biden. Wall Street does love Joe Biden. They do. The money's there. The numbers are there. So if when people are worried about Joe Biden being a progressive or Kamala Harris being a progressive, no need to worry. Okay.
Right. There you go.
Centrist.
There is no need to worry.
No, they are neoliberals. They're centrists. They're safe for the suburbs. Like they're not any kind of socialized anything. I don't think Biden believes in socialized anything. Other than what we already do have socialized, libraries, police, fire departments and things like that. But I think it's so funny when he says Kamala Harris is more progressive and more, liberal or whatever than Bernie Sanders or AOC or Ilhan Omar. And I'm just like, that is just so untrue. It's not true. But he's trying to scare the people who might go that way. But if anything, Biden is a centrist,
And certainly we see these polls coming up because we're getting closer and closer to the election. And I hope these polls don't scare some people saying, well, then my vote's not going to count. We have that every year. Please just go and vote. Get your voice heard.
Yeah. And I think there's a large amount of people who have already voted and already have done their mail-in votes. And so more people, I think they were saying today, have voted early than ever before. So that's a good thing,
That's huge, but never, you hear these people going, oh, Biden's ahead or Trump's ahead in this state. Just kind of close your ears to that. Just vote, watch it on the night of election, November 3rd. And because, horse races have been lost unless, we just can't say, we got this in the bank.
No.
Nobody can say that.
that's what happened in 2016. Everyone was like, there's no way this guy's going to come in and beat Hillary Clinton. And there was a lot of missteps that, campaign, not going to Wisconsin, not divulging information people wanted to know, like, why are you giving these speeches? How much are they paying you? What are they paying you? I think that they didn't realize that Trump was going to win. They're like, there's no way. I mean, when the grab him by the pussy thing dropped, me and my husband, me and Chell, we were just like, mic drop, no way. And then we watched that debate, and somehow he flipped it around back on her and brought, Bill Clinton's accusers
absolutely
to the debate.
That's right in the front row. They both know how to play dirty.
Yes, both of them. Both of them are politicians to the core.
Right.
Anyone who doesn't think Trump is a politician by this point is not watching the same world everyone else is, because he is a true politician. This guy, it's been shown in basically everything he's put forward. When he first ran in 2016, it was like, I'm going to get people's jobs back. He took one step to get people's jobs back. But after that, it's just been catastrophic. I mean, he really hasn't. He fell into, Paul Ryan's traps. He fell into the Mitch McConnell, your basic, kind of politician ways. And, there was a time when he wasn't saying things like, he was saying, I'm Republican, not conservative. And now that you hear a very different tone from Donald Trump. But like Scoot saying, they say he's going to defund the police, talking about Biden, when he's doing the exact opposite. Like, I wish he was. I wish there was some kind of, reallocating, which is what they should call it when they say defund the police.
I hate that term. I hate that term.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like we're ripping the money out from underneath the police department, when in fact they would be dispersing it, from what I'm understanding, other places like mental health and different places where they need it in the community. These poor police have to take on everything. And it would be nice if they had other pockets.
It would make more sense that some of the things they're dealing with, they're ill-equipped to deal with. They're not trained to deal with. So reallocating money appropriately is actually a very smart thing to do. But whoever decided that the name of this initiative was going to be defund the police, that's just dumb, because anyone who hears that, it sounds like you're just going to get rid of the police.
It sounds horrible, especially here. Well, especially anywhere, wherever you're listening from. But here in Minnesota, our crime rate is soaring. And in St. Paul and in Minneapolis, I'm looking at the two big cities. And I just, it breaks your heart, because growing up, that's certainly not what we saw. The guns out in those streets, people, and if you heard somebody was shot back in the day, that was a big deal. Now it's like, okay, 6 people shot on Rice Street tonight, and now let's go to the weather. I mean, it's like,
and that's also a problem of the news too, because the news has become a source of entertainment where they know what to lead with, and they lead you wanting more. And I worked for radio and news for a while, right after college. And it really is, that's why it's hard for me with like CNN, Fox News, all of them. You watch them, they will give you anxiety, and it's the next horrible thing coming up, so they definitely lead, if it bleeds, it leads. That's kind of like a journalism thing that they would say. Yeah. Because I went to school for journalism, and that, those are the kind of things you would hear. And so they're encouraged to do that. And that scare tactic, you leave people scared, and you disband them. You make it so that they're not able to, you leave people so terrified that they're in their own homes and boxes. And then you can bankrupt them with, credit cards, and you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that they're able to do to us, regardless of your party, when they leave us with this fear, instead of giving us the knowledge to be better and to help our community and to believe in our community, because it's not as doom and gloom as they always want us to believe. Now, I do want to get to one thing, Nana, because a few people have noticed your little scarf here.
Oh, yeah.
That you got.
I like my scarf.
Now, Joe Biden, was questioned about the crime bill, and questioned about, his past, like, legislation and things he's done in his past. And he says, now, one of his big platforms is that he wants to kind of decriminalize like minor drug offenses and get rid of, jail time, which has been such an issue, because once you have these minor drug offenses and you are stuck in the system, it becomes just a cycle, and you cannot get out. And instead of getting the help that we know people need, and now with the, heroin epidemic and opiates and things like that, to criminalize diseases and addicts, now he's seeing this, a little more progressive than he did previously. What do you think about this idea of, rather than throw people in jail, have, like funding towards drug courts and rehabilitation and things like that?
I'm all for rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying not someone who's out there selling the drugs.
Oh yeah, no, they don't. They're not going to rehabilitate them.
No, I'm just saying, because they said criminals that had anything to do with drugs that they put away.
Well, let's be honest. If someone's selling a little bit of weed, don't go to jail for selling weed. Okay.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not saying the weeds. Hello.
Nana likes the weed. She loves it.
And I wasn't a big pot smoker because it made me paranoid. Mm-hmm. But I do think it helps people. I do think it helps people medicinally. Yeah. I think it is kind of a low on the totem pole kind of thing, more than dumping down 2 scotch and waters.
Yes, Nana. Yeah.
So it's just not my thing because I got paranoid. So, and I know there's other stuff out there now, but still can't do that. But I love, yeah, I would vote to legalize it in a minute. I know Minnesota, we're not going to see that for a long time. Mm-hmm. But that's one thing they sure don't bring up, do they, on these debates and stuff about legalizing marijuana?
It seems so backwards because I've lived in California so long that it's just not a big deal. It's just weed. I mean, the effects of alcohol and what alcohol has done to us as a society and a people are far worse than anything marijuana's ever done. So I don't get, find a way to tax it, find a way to get that money to work for us as a people. I don't understand what the big problem is. Dad always told me this. He was always like, you never see violent acts. People never just like go beat someone up when they're high on, pot.
I know,
but people do
thinking about it, and then
then they'll have some Cheetos, watch the Trailer Park Boys, and chill the F out. You know what I mean? But alcohol, you get feisty on the alcohol. You get in your car, you start driving, people get violent, things like that. So okay, so I definitely like this, obviously, idea of decriminalizing and just preventing people from getting caught in the system. It's such a dangerous thing because once you have this kind of felony, I mean, some of these small drug offenses are felonies, and then so many of your rights are taken away and finding a job. So you just get stuck in the system. I don't know how you ever get out of that. So for sure, decriminalizing that would help out a lot. What about the Hunter Biden stuff, Nana? Are you interested? Do you care? I feel like Trump was very much trying to, he's
trying to goad him into something.
Yes, and talk about him having a corrupt family, but it's like corrupt family recognize corrupt family. I don't know.
We all have some deception in our family. We all have a couple of us have criminals in our family.
Yeah. Some of the most fun ones are criminals,
Right. I mean, I'm sorry. Pick out a family that you don't know one person that's done a little time. Okay, sorry. Yeah. But that's hard to come by now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying felonies, but I'm just saying slap on the hands, not making fun of it, but slap on the hands, DUIs or something like that, because DUIs are really scary.
They're very scary. Mm-hmm.
And you have no right going out there drinking and driving, because back in the day, I certainly did it, and I thank God that I didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But this has been a long day. Where were we at with this?
Now I don't remember, because then you started talking about you drinking and driving. I'm like, Nana.
Nana.
The 70s were a hell of a drug. Okay, we'll come back to it, I'm sure. I don't even remember what we were talking about. It was Trump. Hunter. Yes. Please.
I just don't think that I don't think it's fair to bring. Well, and nothing's fair in this, but the idea of, people who live in glass houses, what's that saying, shouldn't throw stones. You got enough on your plate, Trump, with your own family, let alone hitting on Hunter Biden. We've seen it many times where people are upright citizens and they do everything right. And then they have a brother or sister that didn't follow that same path. They came from the same parents. They grew up in the same house. It just, sometimes it's a dice roll how things are going to turn out.
Yeah. And I think
for children.
It is, these children of rich politicians or rich business people, whether they're Trump's kids or Biden's kids, do I believe that they are corrupt? Yeah, I do. I believe both of them are. I believe all of them are, for sure, 100%. And Trump has lined his cabinet and with his own family members, and they're making quite a pretty penny. I mean, Ivanka and Jared Kushner made quite a pretty penny during this administration. So do I think it's right? No.
No.
I want to keep hearing about it. No. Do you know what I want to hear about? Stimulus. I want to hear about job growth. I want to hear about getting out of the pandemic. I want to hear about how we're going to save the earth, how we're going to get clean air and clean water. That's the things that Americans want to hear about. We don't want to hear about two privileged dudes talking about which one of their kids got more illegal handouts. You all got illegal handouts. Okay. And unfortunately, these are the two we have to choose from, in my opinion. And I don't want it a tit for tat of your kid's worse. All your kids suck. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry. Hunter, Ivanka, Eric, the Don Jr. creeps. All of them are creeps. Do you know what I mean? The only one I think I might like is Biden's daughter, who's a social worker. She sounds nice. I don't know the gal, but she sounds nice.
I don't know the gal. You sound so Minnesotan when you said that. Welcome back, Joleen. Welcome back.
So I'm ready to do what you got to do if this is a very serious offense, and with Biden being involved, and then take this up. I mean, they've already tried, taking this up criminally.
So it's almost like we don't have time for this. We don't have time for this.
We're dying. We have no jobs.
That's right. Hello. And unemployment sky high.
Why don't we make Hunter Biden, Ivanka, weird looking Eric, and Don Jr., all their proceeds, everything they make should go to the American people. They should have a fund because you're a gifted child of the wealthy who has benefited from nepotism your entire life. They all should be giving back. All Eric or Don Jr., whatever the hell, his whole book proceeds, if anyone buys that, should all go to help people in the pandemic. I mean, if you want to make a true statement, either Biden or Trump, that your family isn't corrupt, why aren't you doing more to help people? This is our ultimate time of need.
It really is.
Spoiled kids out there to hand us money. That's what I'm saying. Okay. If you can't sign a stimulus because Nancy Pelosi's ass or Trump's butt, neither of them can get along or sign.
They do. They need to sign that stimulus for people. They do. Yeah. I mean, there's people out there going to lose their home. People out there can't make their bills. And a lot of them. And you know what they're doing here, honey, in St. Paul? Is they're opening up Bethesda Hospital again. Well, it was open for COVID patients, and then they were going to close St. Joe's Hospital. How do you close hospitals when you have a pandemic? Okay, that just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So they're taking the people from Bethesda, and for you people who, are from the Twin Cities, Bethesda and St. Joe's are both hospitals in St. Paul. Joleen was born at St. Joe's, and they're taking the COVID patients, are putting them in St. Joe's, and then they're opening it up for the homeless. Bethesda.
Oh.
Can you imagine that neighborhood? I mean, they're probably going nuts.
But that's great that they're opening it up.
It's a fabulous idea. But you can just hear the neighbors.
Well, what are we supposed to do? I mean, we have an epidemic going on in Los Angeles, where, I have been living for, 7 years. We have the largest homeless population, and now during a pandemic. And it'll bring your property values down. Everyone's property values are in the shitter right now anyways. And we need to take care of people. People need a place to go when you really see human beings lying face first on the ground. We need rehabilitation. We cannot criminalize, mental illness and drug offenses and things like that. We need rehabilitation. It's for the betterment of society. You can't keep pushing people to corners because they're spreading out, and it will hit your home. This opiate crisis, it transcends money. It transcends race. It transcends party affiliation. It hits every home. So the minute you think that it's just these losers or whatever, it's going to hit close to you. It needs to be dealt with. Thank you, Cameron, for the super chat. Cameron says, good to see you both. Love your insights ranging from Bravo to BB to politics. Been looking forward to it all week.
Thank you, Cameron. Is that ever nice?
Yes, yes.
I didn't get a chance. I know Linda's on the chat. I didn't get a chance to talk to Linda tonight when I got home from the kids. Because we usually all talk back and forth during the presidential debate and things. So I know we're supposed to talk about the presidential debate, but let's just go right back to Bethesda Hospital. When I said the neighborhood will go nuts, because that's usually what happens when people try to put in a place, like let's say a halfway house or something. Yep. Then all the neighbors are, up in arms.
Sure. We see it all the time.
I think it's a wonderful idea that Bethesda uses. St. Paul's using those resources. We have a cold winter. We got snow out here already, 6 inches. Ridiculous. And so we have to provide for people. We're not here that long on this earth. You're not taking it with you. Come on.
You can't take it with you. Okay, let's start with move on to the coronavirus. So that was pretty much the first thing they hit at on this debate. And
it sure was.
How to get out of this crisis. Now, Trump went initially into it was a very interesting rant about the mortality rate's down. The spikes are down. I mean, they're up somewhere, but we'll get them down. There's a vaccine coming. We announced at some operational speed. I don't know. So he talked about his own corona and being immune, which, maybe not forever, but for 4 months or forever. And then there was something that he brought up.
That is a lie. They do not know that yet. If you've had it once, you can get it twice. But that's what they're going with now. I know, but he gets me going. Okay.
But that's what he's doing, though, is he can say, well, I didn't say forever. It could be 4 months. It could be a year. It could be forever. We don't know. But I'm immune. It's that kind of propaganda that politicians, throw at us where we're like, well, he did say immune. But then he added the caveat of, well, maybe a week, maybe whatever. And then I think, so he talked about his corona and his immunity, like I said, for months or a year. And then he just blamed China again. He did a lot of blaming of China, and even when Joe Biden said, you haven't taken any responsibility, he just jumped back into, yes, I have, but it's China's fault. And here's one of the most dangerous things that he is touting is that there is a 99.9% survival rate for young kids. Okay, sure, whatever. Can we say where we get these facts? They never tell us. Either side does. But here's the deal. This virus is still, we don't know enough about it yet, so we don't know the long effects. So to say, hey, kids, you're fine, you're not going to die, but we don't know down the future. Now, wasn't that also the case for polio, where people got it and then had post-polio effects in their adulthood and things?
Most definitely.
And
your uncle being one of them, my brother-in-law, yes.
So that's why we should not encourage people to feel as though they're safe or immune. We don't have to scare them, but just allow people to understand, yes, the mortality rate is low for young people, but the long-term effects can be catastrophic. They can be very dangerous. So we do want to get this under control. So when you think about going out, or when you think things need to open up, or you need to hang out at a bar, or you need to be around your friends or not wear a mask at this time, just think that, you could catch it and you'll live. But what's the long-term effects?
It really isn't all about you. It's about the people you go visit. It's about your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, your cousins. Start thinking about other people besides yourself. That's all.
Yeah. And then Biden went into it, and he made the point again to say 220,000 dead. Anyone responsible for that amount should not remain president. I thought that was a pretty powerful statement, because
very powerful.
I know we do have Trump supporters in the chat, and
that's great.
Open to share your ideas and stuff.
Absolutely.
But how do you wrap your brain around that? Because that to me is such a powerful statement. 220,000 people dead. We know we had a president who is on record and is recorded as saying he knew before and he did not tell people. And he doesn't have a plan to get us out. and he has not, I know this is more subjective, but he has not, in my opinion, taken it personally. How can you still defend that? And why would you want this person to continue to be your leader? That's one thing I don't understand.
Why are you having rallies and telling everyone, well, they're wearing masks because the people directly behind them are wearing masks. And then if the camera goes out to the audience, there's nobody with masks. They're shoulder to shoulder. That looks like a rock concert. You know, I've heard people say, you know, when it's your time, it's your time. I've heard, you know, that's life. You take your chances. No, people, that's not, no. Let's just care about one another. I saw something in the chat, and I'm trying to bring it up. Somebody was saying, and maybe you could see it, that I wouldn't trust Johnson & Johnson because they did mention the different drug companies that are working on this. I wouldn't trust Johnson & Johnson with a vaccine after you'd use baby powder down by your hoo-hoo and you get cancer. So
well, a lot of that comes from deregulation and things that, the FDA kind of has become a joke through the years with a lot of things. A lot of things they'll pass and let happen, whether it be from school lunches or our makeup and things like that. We do have to, the corporations, they run this country. It is very clear on both sides. Democrats and Republicans are run by these corporations. Look at their donors, follow the money. It's always the best thing to do. And I know Trump wants to say that that's not the case for him, but it's the case. It's the case for Republicans. It's the case for Democrats.
You're very right.
We had one candidate who was funded the majority of people by the people, and that candidate was defamed and taken down by his own party, that being Bernie Sanders. So we see anytime the people are able to mobilize and get power like that, these two parties are very similar in that respect, where they're not ready to give up their big corporate donors. So we do see a lot. So when we talk about Corona, we see Trump bring up the swine flu. Now, my thing with the swine flu, and you can let me know what you think, it's a lot of speculation, because you'll hear Donald Trump say they did a horrible job. And, if it would have been as deadly as this, we would have lost 700,000. Where do you get that number? That's speculative. We can say by testing and seeing with our own eyes in current time that 220,000 people died. So you can go tit for tat with this swine flu, but I don't think it's comparable, because we right now have a virus that not speculatively has killed 220,000, has killed 220,000.
It's an actual count.
So why keep bringing this up? It's just another politician way of not having to answer for your own pandemic.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I really thought that, is it Bob Woodward that did the interview with him?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was Bob Woodward. I really think, and I want to get that book, I really think that after that, people would really kind of shun Trump and what he's done to the country. Mm-hmm. We were still out visiting you when this happened, and we didn't even know about it. Linda left in March. Linda was with us, and she left in March. Linda got it. And the reason I can say that, you're not immune from it once you get it is Linda went to the doctor. She asked the doctor, will I get this again? We don't know that yet. And that's a lot of the answers that she got. So.
Yeah. I mean, they don't know, they don't know.
What did you think, Joleen, about them bringing up Trump's taxes again?
This is very interesting. Yeah, so the tax thing. Okay, just show your damn taxes. I think Trump would have a far better argument for Biden and where Biden gets his money and where Biden's son gets his money if he would show his taxes. To say for 4 years, I'm going to get this to you. And in this debate, he's like, my accountant's getting it together. Why is it taking this long? Get on TurboTax, bro, and figure it out. It just seems, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, Donald Trump. This is so just cuckoo to me that people still think that he has nothing to hide. Why aren't you showing it? If Joe Biden showed 20 plus years of taxes and
22,
then just show your damn, if you're killing it as much as you are, then show everything that's going on. And it wouldn't bug me as much if it wasn't coming from Donald Trump, who was one of the original birthers for Obama, who's like, show your birth certificate, show your birth certificate.
Yes.
And now the hypocrisy of this man not showing paperwork when he's asked for it, and something that every president has had to do. How can we keep making excuses for this? If Obama wouldn't have shown his taxes, oh my, just look what people did about the birth certificate. Imagine his taxes. Yeah. And Joe Biden did catch Donald Trump in this debate in a lie of sort, because when Trump was saying he prepaid millions of dollars.
Yes, I loved.
Said,
I love that.
But then he was like, but no, you actually said, because one of his big things when Hillary called him out in 2016 was, I don't pay taxes because I'm smart.
That's right.
And tax breaks, and it was and he said before to Joe Biden, it's your tax breaks that have allowed me to not have to pay in and things like that.
That's right.
So I'm like, well, which one is it, Trump? You just pick something. What did you think of the tax situation, Nana?
I really liked when Biden saying that. First of all, he came right out because they were talking about the foreign sources that they're getting their money. Yes. And Biden would sit there and say, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's a lie. Have not taken a penny from any foreign source is what he's saying. I've released 22 years worth of my tax returns. Why aren't you? And that's when Trump goes, I want to do it. Loved it. I mean, it's just typical response.
My hands are tied. Do you actually think Donald Trump someone could stop him from doing anything? No. That's his whole campaign, is that his whole persona is that I can do what I want. And if I say it, I do it, and nobody controls me. I'm not like these normal politicians. So why are you letting some bureaucratic BS get in the way of you showing the people your taxes?
Let's face it, he wasn't a politician. He didn't come up the ranks like the rest of them. But
there's nothing wrong with that. I think we do need people that aren't necessarily, bought and paid for inside of politics. But unfortunately, Donald Trump was bought and paid for inside of business and became.
That's right.
He said he never was.
Kind of same. I seeing here on the chat, honey, that you put up.
You got a super chat.
Now, I love this Fatty Back Soup. What a great name, Fatty Back Soup. Gave $5. Thank you. And they're saying, and with that Fatty Back Soup, I'm not sure if you're male or female, but it says, I'm a new loving fan of you, Joleen, and I'm loving me some Nana tonight. She's a cutie. Thank you. And This is with paint all over my arms and stuff. Oh, yeah, she's a cutie. But
doesn't matter. You're just a cutie.
Oh my gosh, I really did get a lot done today. I was wired for sound.
Yeah. And Mikey is saying, complete bias. Y'all don't have a clue. Well, please fill us in. Give us the clues that we're missing, Mikey. We would love to hear your, concise and complete plan of what we think on our completely biased channel, which, it is, because it's our opinions, and any opinions are biased. Last I checked. So please let us know, Mickey.
And I think that's great that you can come out and say that, because it's America and you have that right. There are times, my sister's big Republican, and we have chosen not to talk about it because it is hard when you're on totally different sides. I'm not going to convince anyone, and she's not going to convince me to go her route, but we appreciate you tuning in to listen to us. I've certainly listened to the president's speeches, and I don't believe anything he says. But I do listen.
Well, I would just like to know, when people say you don't have a clue, well, then fill me in. Give me the clues. Tell me the tea. Give me the facts. Leave them in the chat. There you go. Because I have a feeling that your bias is going to be similar to my bias. So wherever you're coming from, whatever you read, wherever you get your information, will probably be what but I'd love to hear it.
I would too. And I certainly have heard some things. And then my sister and I got a little heated. And then
recently?
No, this is a while ago, honey. This is like, election night.
Oh yeah.
4 years ago. That wasn't pretty. But yeah, she goes, well, now you know how we felt, but
Oh, when Obama was elected.
yeah. And we all have our different thoughts. But what Biden kept saying, and it was a good thing to keep saying and going right into the camera with it, was, I'm not going to think of you as red states. I'm not going to think of you as blue states. I'm going to think of you as the United States, and I am going to be president for all of you.
I did like that a lot.
I got the chills. I don't know if it was from too much caffeine or not enough, but I got a little chills there.
Yes, exactly. Zachary says, agreed with you, Nana. I won't be able to change y'all to be Trump supporters, but still love both of you. I think we can.
Thank you.
As
yes,
Americans have these conversations and, share with each other these things, as long as, neither party's being, hateful, racist, sexist, homophobic, then we can have a conversation.
Right. So, let's have a conversation. It's great. That's why I so love your podcast, Joe, that, we can kind of speak our mind and and you don't have to agree with us. That's the joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the joy of conversation.
Yeah, it is. It is the joy. It's the joy. If you just hang out with people who only agree with you, then you're probably, your worldview is probably not as, diverse as it should be. Okay. So I'm just looking at the other things. Obviously, we talked about the economy, American families. So 20 million Americans get health care from the Affordable Care Act. So it's going to the Supreme Court, which we have, Amy right now up for Supreme Court. They're trying to push her through. So the moderator, Kristen, asked, Trump, your administration wants to end that. And Biden says he wants to reduce premiums and drug prices, but he still supports private insurance. So I think that was something Trump was trying again to make it seem as though Biden is like a Medicare for all, is like health care for all. Now, Biden did say he believes, I think he said that health care is a right, not a privilege, but I think he said affordable health care, because that was bordering Bernie Sanders. And I'm like, but you don't really believe that, Biden, because you're not for health care for all, but he is saying affordable health care. And that Biden said Trump can't protect pre-existing conditions, and a public option is not socialism, because that's something that Trump was trying to push. And that's when Trump went into Kamala is more liberal than Bernie Sanders, which to me is laughable. I wish Kamala Harris.
It is laughable, because I was a Bernie supporter myself.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I was. I mean, and just like our Paul Wellstone, may he rest in peace, He had a driving force. You felt like he cared about you. I don't know. I hope after the election, people can be friends again. People have lost friends over this one. This one's been a tough one. And I think it's because we're also, with the coronavirus, the way it is, the pandemic, it's hard. It's hard to be inside. It's hard not to do stuff. And you're lucky if you're from like a warmer state, you can still get out and stuff. But, in good old Minnesota, it's getting cold already. And the snow, it's ridiculous.
What Biden said, it's going to be
dark
a long,
days.
Dark winter. And Trump is not on board for that. But we are seeing spikes around the country. I know Riverside County, where I'm at right now, we went back into the purple category. So they've closed down any kind of indoor dining, things like that. I wasn't doing those type of things, but they had to do that because our numbers are spiking. I know North Dakota, South Dakota, there's a lot of, but Biden did say, despite red state, blue state, we need to be united. And you and I kind of talked about that earlier. Let's see. So Biden is, Biden cares. So he has a proposal. So here's my thing with Donald Trump and the whole healthcare thing, Nana, and let me know what you think. And you guys let us know what you think in the chat. He said 4 years. He said 4 years of having the majority and 4 years in office, and the Republicans have come up with nothing. And later on in the debate, when he asked Biden, why didn't you do something with the crime bill, this, that, the other thing, the drug changes he wanted to make for rehabilitation, Biden said Republican Congress. That's why we didn't have, control. Trump has control, and he is the president. So why have the Republicans not come up with a viable option or replacement for the Affordable Care Act. My suspicion is that they just want it to go back to business as usual, where these insurance companies would basically literally live or die by them. And they don't want any kind of affordable health care, because why in 4 years haven't they been able to come up with something to replace what they hate, which is Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act? Why are they? I don't understand that. You've had 4 years. So I think this is the thing with Trump's 2016 run. You can't sit there as an outsider. You're the ultimate insider. You're the president of the United States. If you don't have a plan for this stuff, what makes us think come January 2021, this plan's automatically going to appear? You know what I mean?
Yes. Very good point. And how many times did he have to say Obama? I mean, he keeps going back. Obama did this and Obama did that. Too much. I did see something in the chat. You know me in the chat. I like looking down and seeing my phone and seeing the chat, because I love Corey Brunson. I'll just say it right out. I love you, Corey Brunson. He says, bring back Al Franken. I love you. Okay.
Well, yeah, Al Franken stepped down during the Me Too after those pictures came out, and that we don't want to get into that. I don't want to talk about Al Franken.
I liked Al Franken. Okay. I just want to say it. Yeah.
No, that's totally fine. I just don't want
I got to meet him, and he signed my book, Rush Limbaugh's A Big Fat Idiot book that he wrote.
Rush Limbaugh is a big fat idiot.
And he signed it for me. I was just thrilled.
There are some people we can call idiots, and it's the Rush Limbaughs of the world. These just like well fed in all aspects, pundits who are just scaring people left and right, and that's how they make their money, and just making shit up.
Yes, like those shock jocks and the idea of the ministers and different things that go to minister your religions, and yeah,
it's crazy.
It is crazy.
So then to sum that up, so Biden's proposal is $750 billion over 10 years for lower premiums and drug prices. Everyone deserves affordable care. And Biden said he's running against Joe Biden. He's a very confused guy because he didn't seem to know, because he kept comparing Joe Biden to Bernie Sanders and to more progressive candidates. And he's like, this fella's confused. He's running against Joe Biden. So I thought Joe had little moments of Joeisms where he was like, come on, fella, for real? Really, guy? Is this where we're going, man?
You know, when you're talking about healthcare, as soon as Canada lets us back in, I would certainly like to talk to somebody regarding their health care and how they do it.
Well, I have lots of Canadians that are subscribed to this channel, and none of them have complained to me about the things that Americans put out there about how horrible their healthcare is. So I think a lot of that, it's somewhere in the middle lies the truth, because you'll hear, you need a heart, you better wait 60 years, and you better have green eyes or you don't get a heart. Like, they make up this shit where you're like, what? Why would the Canadians aren't going to stand for that?
You're going to have to wait for an appointment. Who isn't waiting now? Hello. Okay.
Exactly. And who's getting good health care? I was just on the phone with Aetna today because they won't pay a provider I've been going to forever and ever for a medication I take every day.
How did you make out with them?
Well, then they called the clinic and they were talking, and then the clinic said, well, we told you we sent you what you needed, and yet you never got back to us. They're like, oh, it's just these insurance companies. We were on hold for 4 hours. So I don't know if that's, okay, whatever.
Yes. This is what regular people go through. They have no idea, Biden or Trump. They have no idea what we go through. Because they
have health care the rest of their lives by being public servant.
It's like winning the lottery. Hello.
Yep. Yeah, these Congress people, if they think healthcare isn't that big of an issue, then they should give up their lifetime healthcare. They should give up their socialized healthcare that we pay for and we pay into. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And they They do have it for life. And can I just give you one example that drove me crazy? I won't say the name of the insurance company, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I had them last year. And I went to get my eye appointment. Okay, got an eye appointment. I get one a year. They wouldn't pay for it. Reason being, they found something. And I said, well, isn't that the reason we go, in case something should happen, that we get, kind of ahead of it and be proactive with it? Isn't that why we go to the doctor? No, they found something. They found cataracts, so they wouldn't pay for the appointment.
So you're pre-existing and that's the scary thing, because when they looked into these pre-existing conditions, when they finally started looking into it, there were crazy pre-existing conditions that they can deny claims for, like a yeast infection. Listen, you can't be a yeasty. You gotta cover these yeasties, you guys. It's not our fault.
Get the bottle brush. Get the bottle brush. Anyway,
it's ridiculous.
Horrid.
That's horrid. And they shouldn't be. We've seen this happen with our own family members who have had cancer and things. And these insurance companies come in and they basically decide who lives or dies. So when they were talking about these death panels, I'm like, we basically already have death panels with the insurance companies. They decide whether your life is worth it, whether this treatment is experimental or not. So let's not pretend we don't already have this sort of thing.
That's just it. Either, both sides, Democrat, Republican. When you're that high in power, you don't know what the average person goes through to get insurance, to fight, to be on hold forever, to get disconnected, to say, no, we're not, we're going to give you this. Because I would always call ahead. Will you cover this? Oh, yes. It's your yearly, eye appointment. Well, you know what I did? I didn't pay the bill. Come and get me, I said. Well, I just said, come and get me. So now they put me on this thing where they send me a letter every 6 months saying you still owe this. I don't care. It's a collection agency. Come and get me. You told me one thing.
Come and get me.
Yeah, come and get me. Bye.
Listen, no one should go broke and know what because of sickness or illness, and no one should make millions of dollars off the sick and the dead. That's just something. No. Healthcare should be a right for everybody. We all deserve to be treated respectfully. We all deserve to live our life, and you shouldn't get, it shouldn't be decided upon how much you can afford and things like that. I mean, healthcare really, in my opinion, it should be a right. Now back to this, healthcare, the economy stuff. Trump said something that I don't know if this is the same for you, Nana, but he said right now in his administration, in his term, 401ks are through the roof. Now, that's not true for me. My 401k has dropped a ridiculous amount, especially this year and even last year. So who's 401ks? The people that make over 400, 500,000, whose 401ks are through the roof right now? Let me know in the chat, because mine took the biggest hits that I was ready to just pull it all out. And I called you and Dad about it. And I was like, should I take this hit? I mean, and invest. I don't know what to do, but I'm just keep taking hits on my 401k.
And so did we. And if you have enough time, which you do, you're a young woman, you have enough time to ride it out, till the time that you retire. But when you're getting hit like that and you're just like 6 months before retirement, that's when it really stings. Because then you don't have any time to make it up. Their idea of 401ks, I had to laugh. So many of these big companies, they're doing away with their retirement. Or they're not putting in, whatever you put in is yours, but they're not matching or doing anything like that. Let's get into that minimum wage, can we?
Yeah, let's get into the minimum wage. I did see someone put, I had that comment up for a while about Obama with the cages. Like, okay, let's.
I just can sob when I think of those kids down in cages, and the idea that that's how we treat animals better. Come on.
Well, I mean, I've lived in Minnesota, Arizona, California. Arizona had some of the worst politics, state politics coming about immigration and illegal immigration, and how they treated undocumented citizens. And Obama, he was like I think they called him, they had a name. He was like, he deported a lot of people. Like, he was like the great deporter. You guys correct me in the chat, but they had like a little nickname for him. So it's no new information that Obama deportation record was very, very high. No matter who built the cages, we need, this is so ridiculous that we're talking about cages for human beings. We have to stop with this nationalized thought where if your life resides just by circumstance, let's be honest, none of us who were born here deserve to really be, you just happen to be born here. You were just, some people think it's lucky, some people wouldn't. But if you're on the people that think it's lucky, you were just lucky enough to happen that your parents boned in the US and then you were born in the US. Like that's the bottom line. You didn't earn it. So these people that are standing outside going, I was born here. Someone pushed you out of a birth hole in the US. But that doesn't mean your life is any more valuable or should be valued any more than someone outside of our borders. And this is the problem I have when people are very pro-life, usually on the Republican side, sometimes Democrat side.
Oh yeah.
Because if you, and we talked about this last breakdown, if you are pro-life for in utero, you have to be pro-life when that baby's born. And it's so hypocritical for these people to then say, well, I'm not going to help pay for this kid. You're not allowing people, the freedom of their own bodies and things like that. And you're wanting, to protect these lives in utero. But once they're born, you're like, screw them. I mean, I lived in Arizona and they had their whole like anchor baby, a baby legislation. That's what they would call them, anchor babies, people that came over the border and had a baby here. And they were basically wanted to pass legislation where they would be able to not treat the child and send them back. So how is that pro-life? I mean, that to me is, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of things on more of a humanism, is that a word? A humanistic level, but a child is a child. Like that child didn't break any laws, and you need to treat them accordingly, just as you would a child that just happened to be born in the United States. Yes, the deporter in chief. So it's no new information when the conservative or Republicans want to throw that out. We know that about Obama. My husband did a whole Second City show about that and about illegal immigration and border patrol and things. So I actually am, somewhat versed on that. So yeah, and also not all of us on the left think Obama is our savior. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know, and he's not president anymore, and he hasn't been for a long time. So we got to move forward and deal with what's currently happening. And yes, Joe Biden was his VP. But to keep bringing up Obama, it's the same way when he brings up the super predators. Biden wasn't the one who is behind the super predators. Yes, he was on the crime bill with Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton said super predators. Joe Biden said predators while on, I think, the floor of Congress talking about it. But this whole super predator narrative too, that was Hillary. Like, you can't just lump everyone together like that. But yeah, overall, that's the issue I have with this like pro-life stance, is that then we're okay with kids being in cages. Well, their parents broke the law and they're separated. It's like, no, you should never want any child, no matter what race, nationality, where they're from, anything, to be in a cage. Any human being, that's ridiculous to me. So, okay, Nana, go ahead on the minimum wage.
I'm sorry. We'll touch on the minimum wage. I'm just looking at time, making sure that, the minimum wage, $15. And Trump's standing there as a billionaire saying, well, 15 is a lot for some people and 8 is fine for some states. And you can't do this. And you're going to put small businesses to their knees. They can't have a minimum wage. $15. What does that buy anymore? Are you kidding? How would either one of them know that? I know Biden's for it. Do I think it's a little high? No. Go grocery shopping. Do I think that's high? $4 for a pound of butter? Yeah, boy, another 3 hours and we got we got 3 pounds of butter, or almost 4. That's horrible. It's horrible. We know people that have worked 2, 3 jobs just to make their bills, and certainly everybody knows those people, like that are just having to do that. These people haven't had to, these politicians that I know of or that I've seen have not had to work 2, 3 jobs to just make it. And where is that time with the family? Where is this? We've just gotten so far away from.
Well, and Nana, you speak such truth, because that is my issue with politics and democracy in America as a whole, is that only the most elite and rich can run and truly have a chance.
Always.
Because we have no campaign finance reform. We still allow both parties to accept from super PACs and things like that. And if we really want to be represented by other Americans, people that we can identify with. Since when was this a country where we just wanted to be represented by millionaires and billionaires? We don't have to. We really don't have to.
They don't feel what we feel. They haven't lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite things, and I'm going to bring up the Beatles because we're going way off the beaten path. George Harrison, before he died, they asked him, is there anything in your life that was, you do different?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I would like to know what it's like to sit down and write my own bills and to have to make those payments every month. I've never had to do that because early on he became this, mega star and he had people doing it for him. But he says, I think I missed out on something about making it. And there is something to that. First, you get your check. Get a check, and then you think, okay, what can I do with it? Or if I pay this, I pay that, and then I got this left over, if you have anything left over. There is a feeling of accomplishment making those bills every month. Would I rather be in George Harrison's shoes?
Yes.
Back in the day when he was making always made the big money and stuff, but he said he felt he missed out on something. So that says a lot about the human spirit and what we want to do. Anyway.
Yeah. It's like it wasn't relatable to him because he had never lived that. And I think that's what we see with our politicians. We don't see, they can't relate to us and our common people struggles. But this is another thing where I do think it needs to be a federal minimum wage. We can't go state by state, because I know just growing up in Minnesota, and I went to college in Wisconsin, and I wanted to work as a server during college because I worked as a server in Minnesota, and I wanted to transfer over to Wisconsin. But unfortunately, Wisconsin's minimum wage was so low that it was like $1, $2 an hour. And I think Minnesota's was like $6.75 or something at the time. I don't know. But we can't have those kind of discrepancies. If it is truly the United States, I get states' rights and I understand that. But as far as this goes, Trump tried to make the argument that it depends on the state. $15 some places.
There you go.
Get you far. But I think an overall federal minimum wage, I don't think that's a lot to ask for. And
I don't either.
But I also agree with tuition, and when we say free, obviously it's not free. Taxpayers are going to pay for it. But wouldn't you love, I always question anyone on the right when they come at me about this. Wouldn't you love to know where your money's going and your money could go to the betterment of society and to education, rather than right now we are taxed and they just take a lump sum, they take money from us and put it in some military budget, and they don't even have to break down what it truly is in this military budget. They don't have to tell us. They're not telling us exactly where our money's going. So wouldn't you love for that to go towards healthcare or to go towards the betterment of education than just throwing it in some huge military fund when we don't even know if it's going to our soldiers, if it's going to, because we do see how our military is treated after serving and sacrificing their lives. It's not well. And I know a lot of vets and going to the VA, and they have a lot of criticisms about that. So I would love to I would love a breakdown of my money, where it's going.
United States budget. Here it is this year. This is what we're going to try to accomplish.
Transparency. Transparency. Who wouldn't want that? Why wouldn't the right and the left want that? Us as Americans deserve to see where our money's going.
We really do. I love that.
Some things they show us, but it's very interesting that there's other things that they're just like, well, that's just a military budget. But I want to make sure it's going to the right things. And I want a breakdown, because
I
you
like
can't
that idea.
Tell me if it was on their side that we were grabbing money from them and they were like, well, you just have to give us something, that they wouldn't want us to break it down, because they'd be like, what are these idiots going to spend it on? Drugs, something like that.
I know. In the words of Chris Rock, who we both love, He would say, you know, those tax people, they're just like crackheads. They just keep coming back for more.
Once they get a taste. Yeah. So it's, I mean, there's a lot of things within the system that I think is just, bipartisan that need to be fixed. And as far, as our taxes go, and I know that, a lot of people have criticisms about people like Bernie Sanders, like, it's not free. So we know. And he says, where, if you look at his plan, it'll say where the taxes are coming out and the money you're saving from premiums and high deductibles and things like that. So I'm paying out of pocket. I don't know. I mean, I could talk till the end of time.
Very valid points. I love the idea of a United States budget. I know they have it. They have it in each department. It would be nice to be able to see that. But I know we're not supposed to pray on this, right? We're not religion.
What?
But
I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean, we can't say.
You can pray if you want, Nana. Why not?
Okay. I just want everyone to bow their heads and.
Well, no, we can't make people pray, Nana, on a live.
Oh, okay. Can you bow your heads to anything? I mean, to a higher power or whatever.
What are you saying? What are you do? Are we joining your coven? Because then I will do it. If we're joining a coven, are we joining your coven?
What is a coven?
It's witches.
Oh no, I don't get into that.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, ish. I think it's just terrible that I think we should pray for President Trump because the IRS is treating him unfairly.
That was hilarious. That was a hilarious part of the debate when he was like, I get so mistreated by the IRS. I get so
I thought, oh sweet Jesus, man, stop it.
Kiki for Free says, funny how they have so much to say about socialist programs, yet the police departments are socialist program. What happened? I thought Blue Lives Matter. Yeah, I don't know.
True story.
I think a lot of people forget, our firefighters, things like that. I think a lot of people forget.
And they're you want to talk about underpaid, and overworked. And I think this administration, just like other administrations, have tried to downplay the unions, and we got to get unions strong again. My opinion. They're the ones that brought you the 5-day work week. Hello. Okay.
Yeah, Trump the victim. I mean, he's so good at it. And then he did talk a little bit about, they talked about race in America and Black Lives Matter. And Trump said, now I thought this was interesting, so I wanted to fact check this real quick because, oops, I think I might have gotten, of course, the thing I want to look at, I got out of. Okay, let me refresh it here. So Trump said that he saved HBCUs, Nana, historically Black colleges and universities. And I was like, huh?
What?
But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I'm trying to look at the little fact check thing.
All right.
Also, while I'm looking that up, what did you think about him saying the wind kills the birds. The wind is bad. With his windmills and Biden and Trump's environmental plans, So Biden released an extensive $2 trillion clean energy plan. He wants to hit net zero emissions by 2050. And then Trump's, he has a agenda that lists his administration's claims about maintaining clean air and water levels, but does not go into any further specifics. So, and then he was skeptical about the wind and it kills the bird. There's so many funny things I was laughing at. And
they called the wind Mariah. In 2015, I'll be 96. So you're going to have to get to that zero emissions without me.
Okay, I'm trying to look for this. Okay, so there's his record on swine flu. Okay, there's the DOJ. Trump left the Paris. So Biden also said he would join the Paris Climate Accord.
Absolutely.
Join back. Okay, so Trump claims to have saved HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities like Howard University. Our own Busy Blue went there. Shout out to Busy and Howard University.
Oh, love Busy.
So Trump said, I saved historically historically Black colleges and universities. So while discussing race in America, President Trump, and this is according to NPR, so I'm sure some of you will go, that doesn't count, but NPR.org is giving a fact check thing. So National Public Radio, while discussing race in America, President Trump claimed that after meeting repeatedly with the leaders of America's historically Black colleges and universities, he successfully pushed for long-term funding legislation. In December 2019, Trump did sign the Future Act, a bill that made permanent a funding stream of $250 million a year for HBCUs and other minority-serving institutions, while the president can rightly claim credit for supporting the bipartisan legislation. It's a stretch to say he saved these schools from financial ruin. Trump stretching, get out of town. Biden has also proposed bolstering HBCUs, including $18 billion in grants to four-year HBCUs, equivalent to up to 2 years of tuition per low-income and middle-class students. So he stretched it. It was a bipartisan effort, but he said, okay, I saved them. He didn't include anyone else.
Well,
on that one.
that's his MO, so that's all right. Okay, I get it.
And now, speaking of race relations in the United States, Trump said that he is the best president for Black Americans since Abe Lincoln. And then Biden gave a little shout like, Abe Lincoln over here. And Trump's like, I didn't say I was Abe Lincoln. I didn't say I was Abe Lincoln. In his defense, he didn't say he was. He said he was the best for Black Americans since Abe Lincoln. So according to the fact check, Trump says, this is exactly what Trump said, nobody has done more for the Black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Wow. So President Trump has repeatedly made this untrue claim, they're saying. The president and his allies point to his support for programs such as opportunity zones, his use of his clemency powers, and his support for legislation that makes it easier for federal prisoners to be released early. And he did have that one case that he helped Kim Kardashian with, so maybe that's what he's talking about. The president also has consistently shown hesitance when asked to condemn white supremacy. Now, did you catch Biden? He said, instead of Proud Boys, he said poor boys.
Poor boys. And I remember poor boys. It's something we wore, and they were sleeveless, and they had little lines in them, and we called them poor boys. They were very cute.
But I think that is a better name for these.
Oh, I do too.
Racist. I do too. These poor racist boys, these poor boys.
And it sounds just like something, these two 70-year-olds would talk about, poor boys. Okay, and I understand it because I'm getting up there.
But yeah, so the president, so he's consistently shown hesitance when asked to condemn white supremacy. He also has questioned the existence of systemic racism. And we heard Biden tonight say that systemic racism is alive, and Trump has barred racial sensitivity training for federal employees and contractors. Trump used offensive language to describe Haiti and many African nations, if you remember that. Trump's now estranged former attorney claimed the president frequently uses racist language in his private conduct. All of this has alarmed many Black voters and other members of communities of color. And the claim that he's the best president for Black America, with the possible exception, but maybe Abe Lincoln's done a little more, maybe Abe, is factually incorrect, according to the fact check on NPR.org. Here are a few, but not all, of the presidents who have done more. Okay, you ready? Harry Truman desegregated the military. Lyndon B. Johnson backed almost 200 pieces of legislation. Wow, Lyndon B. Johnson. 200 pieces of legislation under what was known as the Great Society that were aimed at stopping poverty and racial injustice. These laws included the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which outlawed federal, state, and local electoral practices designed to disenfranchise Black voters, such as literacy tests. Johnson's program also included the Civil Rights Act in 1964, but Trump is just like, no, I did better than the Civil Rights Act, often referred to as the crowning achievement of the civil rights movement. It banned employment discrimination on the basis of race, sex, religion, or national origin, and stopped segregation in public places. Barack Obama became the nation's first Black president. And some point to his Affordable Care Act as important legislation aimed at addressing racial and economic disparities in access to health care. He also said he's the least racist person in the room.
I spit out my coffee on that one.
He said, I can't even see everybody in the room, but I know that I am the least racist person.
And when you mentioned LBJ, I was looking too at the chat, and Shane Knapp had mentioned
Shane Knapp,
LBJ.
shout out to Shane.
Yep. He mentioned LBJ and the Civil Rights Act and things that
There's Shane.
Yes. Yeah. Remember when LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Apparently Trump doesn't. You're right, Shane.
Wasn't the moderator Kristen, isn't she a woman of color as well? So for him to say he's the least racist person.
Oh, honey, you can say anything because some of his followers certainly will believe that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have my sister who's very Republican. I got a lot of relatives that are, real staunch Republicans and always have been. I don't know. Everyone's got their right. Everyone's got their right. And where your right comes in is voting. That's where your right comes in.
I think that's a great final thought, Nana. We've been online for an hour and 21 minutes. I love talking to you about this stuff, you guys, and thank you for just watching us and engaging with us. And even if we don't agree, we appreciate you being here. I wasn't able to see.
Absolutely.
Shout out to my mods. I don't know if we had a lot. Sometimes with this political stuff, we get trolled. And I do get people who, unsubscribe if I start talking about politics, but in the end, we're all Americans. We all, vote, and this is our country. And I think it's our civil duty to care and know what's going on, and try our best to, try to understand sometimes very complicated legislation and things that I don't think all these parties want us to understand, if you know what I'm saying,
Absolutely. So in the words of Biden, no fracking on federal land, words to live by.
Yeah, right. Well, Nana, any final thoughts, like the final thoughts from the debate, which we talked about earlier? Any final thoughts from you? I'm ready to get this election over. I obviously am, full disclosure, I did not vote for Donald Trump. I voted for Joe Biden. He's not my favorite person. He's the lesser of two evils in my mind right now. Unfortunately, I feel like I've had to do that my entire voting career. I've had to vote the lesser of two evils. I hope there's a day in America where we see more representation, where we see more than two parties, where we see campaign finance reform, where we see money not dictating who we get to choose from. I don't know if that day's coming, but I hope it for everybody involved, whether you're conservative, moderate, centrist, liberal, progressive, libertarian, whatever you are. I do hope that we get more options in the future, but I will miss doing our little political things, Nana.
I know, truly. I don't think I'm going to live to see that, Joe, where we're not having the big money people in for our politics. But I pray that you do. I hope so for America.
I hope so too. And if I don't, I pray that Lucy does,
Yeah, that's right.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Even if, Biden gets elected, and if you lean more progressive or whatever, or whoever gets elected, you do have to keep on them. We do know that Biden, as of now, has no plans of putting anyone we obviously hasn't picked his cabinet, but there's things that are being promised. But he's got like John Kasich and people like that in his cabinet. No one that supported Bernie Sanders or things like that. No true progressives. So you do have to keep fighting for whatever it is you believe in. So even if Trump's like, it's not over, we don't all sit down. We keep fighting. We're still Americans, and we keep going after what we want, because they work for us. You work for us, the people, right, Nana?
Yeah. Well, it's true, but it's hard to think that Donald Trump is my employee.
Because you would have fired him a long time ago. Nana would have fired him. And
You're out of here. You're out of here.
Well, Nana's a hit. More Nana on the channel. You can catch me and Nana covering Bravo TV on Friday nights.
Guys. Thank you.
Covering 90 Day Fiancé on Monday nights. And yeah, so that's
Are we on tomorrow night again? Oh, we are. And guess what? The kids are spending the night, so this ought to be a treat. Oh. I'll try to get them down for bed. I know Papa will take care of that. And so we are going to be doing Orange County.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Orange County. How different. I mean, we're going to be going right into the Republican zone with all the OC ladies, the housewives.
I know. One way to another. There we go. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And thanks for having me, Joleen.
Yes, I love you, Mom. Thanks for doing this crazy YouTube world with me. And thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like, smash it on the way out. Share this video out and say, hey, these crazy Midwestern ladies with funny accents are talking about America and politics. Yeah, they're a little biased, but who isn't? We hope you have a wonderful night. Make sure you vote. Nana, you're the best. Bye,
so
everyone.
Are you, honey. Peace out.
Legalize it. Bye.
Do it.